今天是1月30号，2025年，是我们第80次与海蒂读一书。今天呢，读这个前言的最后一节12节三位一体和最后的告白。Okay. Today is January 30th, 2025. It's our 80th session, reading the Urantia book with Heidi. We are going to read the 12th section of the foreword, the Trinities, and hopefully we are going to do the acknowledgement and finish up the foreword. 好的 Heidi. Okay, Heidi.
Okay. Hello, greetings, Urantians. We're as Ricky says, we're in we're at the 12th section of the foreword. We're finishing up the foreword today. It's called section 12, the Trinities, and here we go. The original and eternal paradise Trinity is existential and was inevitable. This never-beginning Trinity was wait, I just want to shift my my books that are a little closer to the microphone. Okay. This never-beginning Trinity was inherent in the fact of the differentiation of the personal and non-personal by the Father's unfettered will, and factualized when his personal will coordinated these dual realities by mind. The post-Havana Trinities are experiential, are inherent in the creation of two subabsolute and evolutional levels of power personality manifest in the master universe. Manifestation, are inherent in the creation of two subabsolute and evolutional levels of power personality manifestation in the master universe. I'm going to read the next paragraph. The Paradise Trinity, the eternal deity union of the universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit, is existential in actuality, but all potentials are experiential. Therefore, does this Trinity constitute the only deity reality embracing infinity, and therefore do there occur the universe phenomena of the actualization of God the Supreme, God the Ultimate, and God the Absolute. I'm going to keep reading. The first and second experiential Trinities, the post-Havana Trinities, cannot be infinite because they embrace derived Trinities, deities evolved by the experiential actualization of realities created or eventuated by the existential Paradise Trinity. Infinity of divinity is being ever enriched, if not enlarged, by finity and absonity of creature and creator experience. Trinities are truths of relationship and facts of coordinate deity manifestation. Trinity functions encompass deity realities, and deity realities always seek realization and manifestation in personalization. God the Supreme, God the Ultimate, and even God the Absolute are therefore divine inevitabilities. These three experiential deities were potential in the existential Trinity, the Paradise Trinity, but their universe emergence as personalities of power is dependent in part on their own experiential functioning in the universes of power and personality, and in part on the experiential achievement of the post-Havana creators and Trinities. The two post-Havona Trinities, the ultimate and the absolute experiential Trinities, are now fully manifest. They are in process of universe realization. These deity associations may be described as follows. Okay, who's reading today? Shenli? Or
要不要先engage 更多的新伙伴呢？新伙伴当中谁愿意读的？Wendy 愿意读吗？
中文、英文呀？
中文
中文。
啊，
那我读一个。
OK，那对，一直读哈，读到读到一直读到第5节啊，第12部分的第5节，OK，从头读吧。
第一，
把题目也
原初三位一体。原初和永恒的天堂三位一体是存在性的，是不可避免的。这个无始的三位一体是由上父不受限的意志区分人格和非人格的事实所固有的。当他的个人意志通过心智协调这些双重实相时，它就成为事实。哈沃纳之后的三位一体是经验性，是在主宇宙中创造2个次绝对和进化的全能人格表现层次中所固有的。天堂三位一体，万有之父，永恒之子，无限之灵的永恒神灵结合，在实际中是存在性的，但所有的潜能是经验性的。这就是为什么这个三位一体构成了唯一的包含无限的神灵实相，以及为什么出现了神之至高者、神之终极者和神之绝对者现实化的宇宙现象。第一个和第二个经验性三位一体及后哈沃纳三位一体是不可能是无限的，因为它们包含了派生的神灵及通过存在性天堂三位一体所创造或终归实相的经验性现实化所演变的神灵。神性的无限即使不再扩大，那它也正在不断的由有限和绝限的受造物和受造物主经验充实着。三位一体是关系的真相和协调神灵显现的事实。三位一体的功能包含了神灵实相，而神灵实相总是在人格化中寻求实现和体现。因此，神之至高者、神之终极者，甚至神之绝对者，都是神圣的必然。这3个经验性神灵在存在性三位一体及天堂三位一体中是潜在的，但它们作为全能人格出现在宇宙中，部分取决于他们自己在全能和人格宇宙中的经验运作，部分取决于后哈沃纳造物者和三位一体的经验成就。2个后哈沃纳三位一体终极经验性三位一体和绝对经验性三位一体目前尚未完全显现，它们正在宇宙实现的过程中。这些神灵关联可以描述如下。
就到这儿。
OK，
谢谢喜悦。Heidi.
okay, I'm here.
we're done.
Okay, so they're explaining the they're explaining what the Trinities are and kind of how they came to be, and a little bit, and they're telling us a little bit about why they came to be.
Hold on, I'm trying to find the charger for my laptop.对，这一节主要是介绍几个三位一体的概念都是怎么来的，概念之间的关系。Okay.
Okay, so they're saying that the original paradise and eternal paradise Trinity, the Trinity, when Christians and when people think of the Trinity, they always think of the what they're calling in this book the existential Trinity. Existential meaning existing. It's always there. It is what it is. It exists. So the God the Father, God the Son, and God the Infinite Spirit. That is the Trinity that we know here on earth. We have that concept. A lot of religions have some kind of Trinity. The Christian religion is very, very serious about the Trinity. That's one thing that in all Christian, there's so many Christian religions, sects of the Christian religion, but they all have the Trinity. God the Father, God the Son, except they think Jesus is the eternal Son, where the Urantia book tells us that Jesus is a son of the Trinity, but not the eternal Son. He's a son he is a son of God, but not the actual Son in the Trinity. But the Christian religions think he's the eternal Son, but the Urantia book tells us no, there's many creator sons. There's only one eternal Son.
这第一段呢，就是提到原初和永恒的天堂三位一体啊，是存在性的。存在性就是它是自有拥有的意思。那么，这个在一般的基督教的各个支派当中呢，就是三位一体是一个很普遍的概念哈。他们一般是上父、上子、上灵嘛。但是呢，这个永恒之子，在这个，他们一般就是说认为耶稣呢就是那个永恒之子。可是实际上呢，在《玉苒厦之书》当中，就是耶稣只是一个造物之子，他不是那个永恒之子。就是永恒之子，他得更靠上、更源头的。但是呢，耶稣他只是我们的地方宇宙的造物之子，他不是那个原初的三位一体当中那个永恒之子。OK。
The original and external paradise Trinity is they're saying that not only, I don't really know why, but they're saying that not only is the original and eternal paradise Trinity, that's the Father, Son, and Infinite Spirit, eternal, but they're saying it was inevitable. So I think what they mean by that is that God the Father is the kind of God that had to become a Trinity. He had to create the eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit. Being who he is, it was because they're saying it was inevitable. So they're saying there's no way there's no way that God the Father could not have become part of a trinity. That they're saying it was inevitable. I don't know why it was inevitable. I think that it has something to do with the nature of God, that God being who he is. You could say we could say something like he's such a creative, personal God that he couldn't be there. He couldn't run the universe and alone. He was always going to create a son and an infinite spirit to function as one entity with him. It was always going to happen. That it couldn't have been any other way.
他说他也很困惑，他为什么这个地方提到三位一体的时候，不光说是存在性的，还说是不可避免的。那么就是这揭示了一个什么原理呢？就是这个上父啊，你必须要跟那个永恒之子、无限之灵一起，才能够这个完成创造大业啊。不是完成，就是进行创造，然后他没有办法自己一个人来运作这个宇宙，他一定要就是三位一体作为一个存在来来进行它的功能，实行它的功能，实现它的功能操作。
Then they tell us why this was inevitable, why the Trinity as a reality was inevitable. They're saying it was inevitable because of the fact of the differentiation of the personal and non-personal by the Father's unfettered will and factualized when his personal will coordinated with these dualities. They're saying that God is both personal and non-personal, and we talked about this last time with the God the absolute and the unqualified absolute. There's let's just compare it to us. We are, a part of us is our personality, but a part of us isn't our personality. A part of us is our body, our energy. Oh, there's a lot of things about a person, like a person that's unconscious doesn't have a personality, but they still exist. They're still there. That's part of them. So God is the same. He's a person, but he's also a whole other spiritual and physical, material, physical, spiritual, absolute reality. So they're saying that the fact that God is both personal and non-personal.
然后他在下面再继续解释为什么这种实相是不可避免的就是因为这个上父不受限的意志区分人格和非人格的事实所固有的嘛。那么上一次我们也提到是那个神之绝对呢，就分为就是绝对实相分为这个神之绝对和无限定绝对，所以就是神他本身他有他人格的一面，就像我们人有人格的这一面，还有我们的身体啊能量运作系统一样，那神他也是有属灵的那个神性那一面，还有这个其他的物质实相啊觉现的实相啊，就是各种其他的实相。
It says that when this duality of the personal and non-personal was factualized, that it became a fact when his personal will coordinated these two dual realities by mind. They're always telling us again and again and again that it was his will. Everything that's created from the very, very beginning, although there was no beginning, is by God's will, his mind and his will. And they're saying that he factualized, he chose to differentiate or factualize this inherent duality of the personal and the non-personal, and that is what made what inevitably resulted in the Trinity. So they're saying the Trinity had no beginning, it always was, God always was, and yet the Trinity is a result of God's dual reality. I don't want to say dual personality because part of it is non-personal. So it's a dual reality of God inevitably manifests in the Trinity. Okay.
但是神的这个双重性哈，人格性和非人格性这个事实化，就是他用他的自由意志嘛，上父他不受限的意志来协调的，就这两方面的事情，那是他的心智协调的那个这种内在的二元性，彰显他的二元性，就是人格化和非人格化的部分。
They say the post Havana Trinities. So the difference between the Christian religion and other religions that believe in some kind of Trinity, the Urantia book is the Urantia book says there is the existential original paradise Trinity, but then the paradise Trinity is the existential Trinity, but there are also three experiential Trinities: the Supreme Trinity, the Ultimate Trinity, and the Absolute Trinity. So they're saying the post Havana. So they're saying that the original Trinity created Havana, the central universe. But then when the grand universe was being created, that created the central universe is a perfect universe. And the Trinity created this perfect universe. But once the grand universe started being created, that's not where we are part of the grand universe. It's not a perfect universe. The whole thing is experiential, and I would say not experimental, but experiential. And the three experiential Trinities resulted from this mass creation, from potential being actualized. In the central universe, potential is actualized. It's like, it's not about potential. It already is perfect. But in the grand universe, the master universe, everything that's being created, that's still perfecting, it's an expression of the potential of God the Father and of the existential Trinity.
对，他就说这个原初永恒的天堂三位一体呢，它是创造的哈瓦那中央宇宙嘛，哈瓦那就是那个完美的，就是这个它是很完美的。但是呢，我们所在的大宇宙呢，就是它就是这个经验性三位一体工作的领域。那么它就是把这个原初三位一体的潜在性来事实化的。在这个大宇宙主宇宙当中，那么它就是还在 完美化当中它表达的是神性的潜在部分。
The last sentence of the first paragraph says, the post-Havona trinities are experiential, are inherent in the creation of two sub-absolute and evolutional levels of power, personality, manifestation in the So I just want to say that for some reason they're not talking about three. I mentioned three, but in this paragraph they're only talking about the two sub-absolute evolutional levels of power. They're saying they're the supreme and the ultimate realities are sub-absolute evolutional levels. They're about potential, they're about the evolving realities, but they're sub-absolute. These realities represent the power, personality, manifestation. And I think when they say power, personality, I think that may also be kind of like the personal and non-personal, like the entire dual realities of the existential trinity manifesting with all of its potential, all of its power and personality in the master universe.
那个就是两个次绝对和进化的全能人格嘛，就是那个神之至高者和神之终极者，他们就是属于就是潜在性的进化的全能人格。然后就是表达神的双重实相，一个存在性，一个潜在性啊。所以这两个次绝对的，就是表达的是它的潜在性。
The next paragraph is discussing the paradise trinity, and they're saying the eternal deity union of the universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit is existential in actuality, but all potentials are experiential. So they're always telling us that there's two things. There's what is, and then there's what can be. There's the existential, which is they're perfect, they exist, they always have existed, they always will exist, but they still have potential. There's still more that can come. The result of what, even though they're perfect and they're complete, they're constantly creating, and every part of their creation is experiential. That's why we are experiential beings. We're constantly experiencing everything. Every moment is new to us. Everything is potential. We don't know what road we're going to take, what path we're going to take, what we're going to be. It's all experiential. We're experiencing it. We're not perfect. We're experiencing the journey to perfection, whereas the Trinity is already perfect. They are everything, but they're capable of creating an experiential reality, even though they aren't experiential, they're existential. They're, in a way, they're already finished, they're completed, but they're creating an experiential universe.
对，就是原初的天堂三位一体吧，他们就是完美的嘛，他们是属于一个存在性的，但是呢，但是你看所有的潜能是经验性的，所以经验性表达的是它的 潜能，就是我们就不断的在创造，我们就是一个经验性所有的东西，就是每一刻对我们都是新的，我们就是通往这个完美的旅程上，所以就是这个存在性之神，它可以有这个能力创造经验性的实相。
I think that the reason that the book is saying over and over and over again, every time they explain these things to us, they always mention that it was God's will to do all of this. That it's like they're saying God didn't have to do this. He was fine. He's complete. He's not like, wow, if only I could create a master universe, then I'd feel better. They're saying that's not how it was. He chose to do it. It was he willed to do it. It was his idea. So they're saying that there's only one existential trinity that's infinite, that the eternal existential trinity has no beginning and encompasses everything that is and all potential. Therefore, it's infinite. It encompasses all that is and all that can be, existential and potential.
对，这个玉书反复的强调神的自由意志，神的意志选择做这一些，它是永恒的，也是完整的。那么但是呢，它是存在性的、无限的，没有开始的，包含所有的潜在性的。
They're saying only the paradise trinity is existential in actuality, but all potentials are experiential. Therefore, does this trinity constitute the only deity reality embracing infinity? All the other trinities that came afterward do not embrace infinity, because they embrace all of the potentials of the existential trinity, but the existential trinity embraces all of the existential and all of the potential. Therefore, that's what makes it infinite. The other trinities, the three trinities that are experiential, are not infinite. They're just experiential.
对，就是这个原初的这个天堂三位一体呢，它是存在性的，因为它是拥抱所有的、包含所有的无限实相的。但是那些经验者之神的神之至高者，神之终极者呀，他们就是因为他们是衍生的经验性之神嘛，所以他们是不能说他们包含无限的，那么只有天堂三位一体才能说是唯一的包含无限的神灵实相。
So you could see it like this. God, the Paradise Trinity, is a grown-up. He's 35 years old. He's in full physical health. He knows who he is. He knows what he wants. He has a good career. He's very, very stable, and he's complete. He has 3 children. He has God the ultimate, God the absolute, God the supreme. Those are his 3 kids. These kids are not grown-ups yet. They're still growing. We really don't know what they're going to become. We don't know quite who they are. They have their own personalities, and each one's very different, but they're not complete yet. They're still, we look at them, we see great potential, and they're manifesting, they're experiencing the full potential. They're also manifesting the potential of their father. because everything they are, each one is part very, very closely related to their father. They're all of the three different personalities, the supreme, the ultimate, and the absolute, are all inherent in the father. They're expressing different parts of the father's nature, but they're not complete yet. The father is complete, they're not complete.
他就是打一个比方，那个原初始三位一体就是像一个成人啊，和他有3个孩子，都还没有长大，就这3个孩子就是神之至高者、神之终结者、神之绝对者，他们不同的，但是他们还没有长成，然后他们有巨大的潜力，他们都在慢慢的彰显，他们自己也彰显他们的父亲，他们跟父亲有密切的关联，那么继承了父亲的特征，就是表达父亲的不同的本质。
The second sentence, we're in the second paragraph. The second paragraph, we're reading about the Paradise Trinity in the second paragraph. And the second sentence says, therefore does this Trinity constitute the only deity reality embracing infinity. And that's because it embraces all of the existential reality and all potential reality. And existential and experiential. So that's why it's infinite. And then it says, and therefore do there occur in the universe phenomena of the actualization of God the Supreme, God the Ultimate, and God the Absolute.
对，正是因为这个原初三位一体它是无限的，所以它包含存在性和潜在性2方面。
So we could say, well, okay, so you've got this infinite Trinity, and you're saying, and therefore, do there occur the universe phenomena of the Supreme, the Ultimate, and the Absolute? Well, to us, it's not. To whoever wrote the book, it makes perfect sense. Well, you've got this perfect Trinity, so, and it's infinite. Therefore, you have God the Supreme, God the and when I read it, I'm thinking, really? Therefore, that to me, that's not obvious. That if you have a perfect Trinity that's infinite, you therefore have 3 other Trinities that are experiential. So what do they mean by this? And I'm thinking what they might mean is, like, why is it inevitable that this infinite Trinity would actualize an 3 experiential Trinities? Why is that so obvious and inevitable? And I think that it's like if you look at a family and you see a mother and a father, and suddenly they have some children, we don't question it. We don't say, why did they have kids? Why do they do that? We know it's inevitable. You put a man and a woman together, there's going to be children. It's just how it is. So I think that's why they're saying, look, you've got this perfect Trinity, you're going to have, something's going to happen. They're going to create these universes and you're going to end up with 3 other Trinities. I think that's kind of how it is.
对，就是说这个原初这个三位一体神，它就是不可避免的，它一定会有衍生的功能啊，它就是会把它的潜在性由这些经验性之神来彰显、显化出来、现实化嘛。就像如果组成一个家庭，一个男人和女人，那么他们不可避免的就会生孩子，就是繁衍是必要人的一个显化的功能。
There's certain things we just have to accept as the way reality is. I mean, maybe there are other realities out there. Maybe there are other gods. We don't know. We're just talking about our reality, this God. And there are certain things we have to accept, like God is good. God is love. It could have been a different reality. It could have been an evil God or no God, or, well, I don't think you could have a creation without a God, but we don't, I mean, it is at some point you have to say, this is how reality is, and we have to accept it. And I think what they're saying is the way this reality, our reality is, the three experiential trinities were inevitable based on how things are, how God is, how the Trinity is. It was inevitable.
对，他就说我们就是承认自己的实相，自己活在什么样的实相当中，那么这样的这三位一体神是不可避免的。那么就是我们在我们实相当中，神就是好的，神是爱的啊，神就是这样的方式来创造的。
Another thing is the infinite paradise Trinity is so different from us, because we're not infinite. We have a beginning. So we live in an experiential reality. Everything we experience, we don't, the only time that we get a sense of the existential reality of the Paradise Trinity is when we tune into our thought adjuster, the God within us, because that reality, that is a part of God. That is an eternal reality. That is an infinite reality. So we do have that in us. So we do. That's why we're capable of understanding what that means. I think if we didn't have a thought adjuster, it would be hard for us to even understand what perfection is, or what infinity is, or what eternal God is. Because why do we understand it? It's so different from our reality. I think maybe, I don't know this, maybe we understand it and can talk about it because we have within us a fragment of God. So we can tune into that. We feel that. That's guiding us. So we're vaguely aware. On a spiritual level, we're very aware. But on this level, we're vaguely aware of the presence of eternity within us. So we do understand it. But we are not that. We have it in us, but we're not merged with it. So the three experiential trinities, God, and the three experiential gods, God the supreme, God the ultimate, God the absolute, we can relate to them a little more. They're a little more like us. They're experiencing too. They're evolving too. So these are kind of like our gods. We're kind of like God's grandchildren. They're God's children and we're God's grandchildren. So we can relate a little more to them. We understand them a little better.
Wow, that's long. 就是天堂三位一体，就是拥抱永恒实相的。我们这都是有限，凡人造物，就是这个无限对我们这个，对我们这些经验性的造物，然后去体会这个永恒存在性的实相是非常难的。但是我们里边呢也是有神的片段嘛，就是思想调整者嘛，对，他是可以帮我们一窥这个无限的实相的内涵，帮助我们就获得一些的了解。 对，虽然我们就是没有办法体会完美、永恒这些的，神的永恒神的概念，但是我们也是，隐隐约约的、含糊的，也会有一些的这方面了解和意识。因为我们还没有完全跟神的这个思想调整者融合嘛，但是对这3个经验性的3位一体神，我们是更近的，可以跟他们联系上，因为他们也是在进化当中的。对，我们就相当于是神的这个孙子啊，那些进化之神相当于我们的父亲啊，他是这样比较的，就加深我们的理解吧。
So you may not want to translate this. I'm just asking you if you to make sure you got I think you got the whole thing because you're so amazing at this, but I was really trying to say that being experiential evolving beings, we can relate more to the experiential evolving trinities and gods. But then I also wanted to say before that a part of us is directly related to the existential trinity, to God the Father, eternity and infinity, which is why we can even understand it or talk about it, because we have thought adjusters. So we are spiritual beings. So we are like dual beings where we are also existential and experiential or potential, because we have God the Father is part of us, but mostly we're finite. We have a beginning, we're experiencing, we're living out our potentials. So in that level, we can relate more to, in a way, we have our own gods. Out here in the real world, we have our own gods. In the perfect central universe and paradise, they've got their God. Everything's perfect over there. Out here, we're kind of winging it. We have our own gods. That's kind of what I'm saying.
对，我们同时是有限的造物，也是无限的存有，因为有思想调整者永恒的那个神的片段在我们里边，所以呢，我们实际上既是存在性的，也是经验性的。那么我们既有这个永恒的天堂3位一体作为我们的起源，也有那个经验之神，3个经验之神来是我们直接的这个经验之神，就是反正我们既有这个存在之神，也有经验之神，因为我们就是一个这样一个多维的存在。
So let's say that there's a world like Earth, and that there's a God on this world in the middle, at the North Pole. There's a God, and he's made this perfect. Earth is already settled in light and life. It's completely perfect. God's running the show. Everything's fine. Then we settle some other planets, and we go out, and they're rough, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and there's just chaos and weirdness, but God sent his sons out to run these different worlds and to evolve them and to perfect them so that one day they'll be as perfect as Earth is. So there's Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and there's life on all these planets. So he sends 3 sons out. He sends his ultimate son, his supreme son, and his absolute son. And because they're all on different levels, these planets, some are more evolved, some are less evolved. So all these beings out there, they like the absolute, well, forget that, but the supreme planet knows their God, the supreme. The ultimate planet knows their God, the ultimate. And they're running the show, and they can relate, they can understand their gods. Their gods are experiencing it all with them. But every being on those planets has a phone, and it has one phone number on it, and that's God on planet Earth. So every being can talk to God on Earth anytime they want. They can go to God, to the creator of everything, the father of their God. So they're not cut off from God, but they're in their day-to-day business. They can relate to the God of their planet, who's a son of God. Does that make sense? It's kind of a crazy analogy. You know what I'm saying? It's like they have their own God, but they still have a hotline to God, even though they've never seen him and they've never met him. They can talk to him anytime they want. They can call directly to Earth to talk to the top dog.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay.
比如说，就是有一个世界，比如说我们玉苒下哈，就是我们地球已经铆定在光与生命当中了，是比较进化了的星球哈。然后呢，再去开发进化别的星球，因为别的星球比较混乱、低级、原始嘛，他就把他的儿子，神派他的儿子就到别的星球去帮助这些星球去进化管理。那么这3个儿子就是神之至高者、神之终极者、神之绝对者，他们就是不同的进化水平。然后呢，就是这个是不是这个帮助进化的这个星球上面的人，他们就是说既有这些直接帮助他们的这些的神的电话号码，但是他们还有就是还有那个祖父的那一层的，就是原初的天堂三位一体神的电话号码，直接的热线。所以他们虽然见不到那个祖父级的那个神原初神，但是呢，他们手里都有他的电话号码，可以随时跟神打电话。因为这个神祖父神是他们的神的父亲就是他们手里边也有这个原初神的这个电话号码热线。Okay.
It's kind of like we live in. There are levels of reality. There's the finite level, the supreme, there's the ultimate level, and then eventually there's the absolute level. And we evolve, we experience, these are all potentials. We go from completely imperfect to absolute perfection. But in the meantime, we always have our own God right there with us. So right now we're in the supreme reality. That's the love. We're in the finite material universe, and we have a supreme God. And this God and this Trinity is very much involved in our lives. All of us, we don't know it because it's so much a part of us, but we are very much the supreme. We'll read more about it in the next section when we read the supreme, but the supreme is very much involved in this reality that we are presently living in. And it's kind of like, that's all we need. Everything's taken care of. We've got God the supreme. We're going to be okay. But it's not the kind of, God didn't set it up so that we have to go through God the supreme to get to him. He's always letting us know he's still our father. He created everything, including us. God the supreme didn't create us. Okay, the creator sons created us, yes, but God created the creator sons. God's saying, the point I'm trying to make is that God has not he's not put layers between us, and he's given us our own God to run this part of the show, and then another God, the ultimate, to run when we're in that kind of reality. We'll have our own God running that part of the show, and we're more involved in these Trinities than we realize. We're more involved in the supreme God than we realize. But We don't have to go through the Supreme to get to God. We don't even have to go through Jesus. Jesus made it very clear to us. We don't have to go through him to get to God. We can anytime we want, but we can also talk to God anytime we want. We can just say, hi, God, how are you doing? I'm here. Let's have a talk. He's always directly related to us, in spite of the fact that he's given us these other gods to run the universes that are experiencing different levels of reality.
OK，这好长这一段，就是跟我们就是神之至高者哈，他就是相当于非常的紧密的包含在我们每日的生命的实相当中，那么存在于我们生命的各个方面，就是把我们的生命的各个方面都很好的照顾了。他，但是呢，就是那个原初神，他仍然是我们的父亲，并且他还是那些造物之子的父亲。那么，但是他不把我们跟他之间呢，就是设立一个界限啊，或者是层级啊，我们不必要通过这些的中间的进化之神这些神之至高者啊，神之绝对者啊，就是这个神之终极者啊，没有必要通过他，然后才能跟他交流。那什么时候呢？我们想跟他有联系，就是可以直接就是跟这个原初的这个神是有联系的啊。那其他的进化者之神，他们是这个，就是对应于我们达到的不同的实相层次来跟我们对应的啊，来这个运作这个宇宙的啊，它是这个意思。
The third paragraph, the first and second experiential trinities, the post-Havona trinities, cannot be infinite because they embrace derived deities, deities evolved by the experiential actualization of realities created or eventuated by the existential paradise trinity. So they're talking about the first and second experiential trinities. The first and second are the supreme and the ultimate. The post-Havona trinities, they evolved after Havona already came, after the central universe already came into existence. So they came into existence when the post-Havona universes, the grand universe, was being created. They cannot be infinite because they came from the first Trinity. They evolved with the grand universe. So they're not infinite. That means they had a beginning. They're not infinite. They are finite. Well, I guess finite, but they are derived. They are derived, meaning they're created by or a result of the experiencing potentials in the universe. So they're just explaining why the post-Havona trinities, the supreme and the ultimate, they're just talking about the first two. They're just telling us why they're not infinite, because they're created from the first Trinity, the infinite Trinity, the paradise Trinity.
对，这个第三段嘛，就提到这些的经验性三位一体呢，后哈瓦那三位一体就是在大宇宙当中运作的这些的，经验性三位一体，他们是派生的神灵。
They are evolved by the experiential actualization of realities created or eventuated by. They are evolved trinities. The Paradise Trinity is not evolved. It just is. It's the beginning, it's the end, it always was, it always will be. The post Havona trinities that we're reading about, the supreme, ultimate, absolute, they are evolved. They came into being from the first Trinity.
对，那这些经验性三位一体，他们就是进化，从哪儿进化的？从那个原初三位一体进化来的，通过存在性天堂三位一体所创造和终归实相的经验性现实化所演变的生命。
And that's why they're not infinite. If
所
you
以他们不是无限的。
if you evolve from something else, you're not infinite. To be infinite, you have to just have always been. God didn't evolve from some other God. He just always was. The Trinity didn't evolve from some other Trinity. That's why the Paradise Trinity and God the Father, they are infinite. Whereas anything that evolves from that first original Trinity is not infinite.
那么这无限就是意味着它就是一直都在嘛。那所以这些衍生的神灵，他们就不是无限的。
The last sentence of this paragraph is infinity of divinity is being ever enriched, if not enlarged, by finity and absonity of creature and creator experience. So that means that even though the Paradise Trinity is infinite and perfect and existential and creative, it's still being enriched, if not enlarged, by finity and absonity of creature and creator experience. So everything that's evolving, all the potentials, is actually enriching the Paradise Trinity. So even though the Paradise Trinity is infinite, that doesn't mean he's infinite in existence and experience. It doesn't mean that he can't be more. He can't, that the Paradise Trinity also experiences. It's existential and experiential. The post-Havona Trinities are experiential. They're reaching potential, they're experiencing, they're evolving. But even though the Paradise Trinity isn't evolving, it is experiencing, it's enriching, it's becoming more. You could say he's having a good time. The Paradise Father, the Paradise didn't just create these universes for our sake, just so that we could experience, have some fun too. They like what's going on. Everything that happens in everything everyone experiences is a new thing. That's what free will is all about. And they enjoy that. It makes them even more. It enriches them. It's like an artist, when an artist creates a painting, he doesn't just create it so that people can see his vision and enjoy it and look at it. He learns from it. He grows from it. He enjoys creating it. That's what they're telling us.
对，这个第三段的最后一句就是说，那个天堂三位一体它不是存在性的嘛？然后呢，就是后 后哈瓦那那些三位一体，它是经验型和进化型的。那么这个天堂三位一体它是存在性，但并不意味着它是静止的，它也在经验，就被那个进化之神的那个经验所丰富，所以它实际上它不是一个死的东西，它也在享受它的创造。那么就像一个艺术家，他并不是单单为了造出画来供众人欣赏，他自己也欣赏他的创作。
Okay, and I'm just going to drive that point home. It's the same point. You can translate or not. But in Western art, Leonardo da Vinci is the master. This is my opinion, but a lot of people agree. You don't get better than that. He's an amazing artist. He didn't do that many paintings, but he's perfect. He's just a true master artist. So when he painted a painting, he also was a scientist and everything else, and sculptor, but when he painted a painting, he didn't just say, hey, I have all these amazing thoughts in my head and feelings and reflections and insights, and I want to share it with the world. I want someone else to see the beauty in the face the way I see it. I want someone else to experience this mood the way I feel it. And therefore, I'm going to paint it and share it with people and leave it behind and let other people see the world through my eyes. So he did that. He did that. But he also had the urge to paint. He didn't just do it for people who are going to look at the painting. He didn't just do it for people like me who are going to live 500 years later and just marvel at his genius. He also had the urge to paint. It made him, he got better and better as he did it. Now I'm not saying God gets better, but it enriched him. It made him more of a man. If Leonardo da Vinci had never painted a painting, he would not be the Leonardo da Vinci he was when he died, because he wouldn't have had that experience, which was it's always enriching to create things, to give and to create. It always it enriches the creator as much as the viewer or the audience or the recipient. So when you give, the Urantia Book and Jesus taught us, when you give to someone else, you're actually giving just as much to yourself. So they're saying that infinity of divinity, that's the infinite Trinity that that of the Paradise Trinity, is being ever enriched, if not enlarged, by the finity and absondity of creation and create. So as we experience something, little creatures like us, we're enriching God. God is actually getting something out of our experience. Just okay, I know I'm going on and on, but
yeah,
okay,
good analogy.
One more little thing. Just like when you watch your 2-year-old stumble and try to walk, and that's not, you're not just going, oh well, I hope he learns to walk. You're enjoying going through that with him. It's making you more of a person to experience his experience. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's very touching analogy. 在西方世界，里尔纳德·达芬奇是一个非常令人赞叹的画家。那么他几乎他是真正的艺术大师。那当然他自己还是一个科学家呀，雕塑家呀。他把他的意象画出来，不光是跟世人分享他所看到的美，然后让世人通过他的眼睛来看世界。那么他自己有很强烈的冲动，想要画出来。然后呢，实际上这个画画的经验呢，对他也是一个丰富。 他画的越来越好。就他离开这个人世的时候，他把他的经验带走。所以就是你做什么事情，你给就是施受同体嘛，你给出去的同时，你是也给自己。所以我们的经验实际上也丰富了神的体验。就像你这个2岁的，你看2岁的孩子学走路，你不光是这2岁的孩子他在学习，你其实也是享受跟他一起成长的过程。我说这个他的类比非常的生动形象。
Now that you got that?
Yeah, we got that. We got to.
Now that we've talked about
convey.
Leonardo da Vinci and watching your 2-year-old, I want to say one more thing about this sentence, because I think it's so important when they say infinity of divinity is being ever enriched, if not enlarged by infinity and epsilonity, because it's so important to remember that, let's say you have a teenager and your teenager's having some trouble, and your teenager comes to you and says, Mom, can you give me some advice? I need some help here. You're not saying, okay, I'm busy, but I'll take a break and help you. You're happy that your teenager came to you. You enjoy giving the advice as much as the teenager enjoys getting it from you. And that's what they're telling us, is that we, by experiencing reality, we are enriching God. God's not just doing us a big favor. When you pray, we feel like, oh, who am I to ask God for help? God's kind of maybe too busy to hear my prayer. I think we all feel like that on one level. We feel like ants going to the sun and asking for a little bit of warmth, and we feel so insignificant next to God. And what they're telling us is that God's very much involved with all of his creation. He's being enriched by it. He's actually getting as much out of it as we are. He's not just the great giver. He receives by giving, just as we become enriched when we give. God also becomes enriched when he gives. Like, we never think of it like that. But that's so important, that when we go to God, he likes helping us. He likes hearing from us. It makes him even more, he gets something out of it.
Yes, that's very enlightening. 他就是在进一步，就是对最后那一句神性的无限呢，正在不断的由有限和绝限的受造物和造物主经验充实着。他就说，比如你有一个青少年的孩子来向你寻求建议，你不会说啊，我忙着呢，没时间，你会就是非常的享受给他建议，他也享受来倾听你的建议。所以就是我们的经验实际上是就是充实神的经验啊，并不是说我们向神求助啊，只是好像他给我们一个巨大的恩惠来帮助我们啊。我们经常会想，哎呀，我是多么渺小哈，神大概都不屑于听我的声音，就像一个蚂蚁想要祈求太阳的恩典。那么实际上就是造物主非常的，就是跟他的创造者就是在一起的，非常的亲近的。那么，从这种参与当中获得很多。然后这句话就是你从给当中得到，所以我们就是不要犹豫去向神求啊、祷告啊、交流啊，因为他是很愿意来倾听我们的。
So the last paragraph that I read before is talking about the three post-Havona trinities. You can translate that.
对，我们就是上一次读到就是三个后哈瓦那三位一体。
The first sentence is Trinities are truths of relationship and facts of coordinate deity manifestation. That's a tricky sentence.
就是第四节第一句，三位一体是关系的真相和协调神灵显现的事实。
I think that has to do with personality and non-personality, because trinities seem to be a manifestation of the personal and the impersonal. When you have all of they call it the power personality of a God, you end up with a trinity. And I think the personality part has more to do with truth, and the impersonal part has more to do with facts. But I'm just guessing.
对，三位一体呢，就关乎就是人格神格的人格非人格的关系嘛。他就说这人格部分是关乎真理，然后非人格部分关乎事实。
I'm saying this because it says trinities are truths of relationship and facts of coordinate deity manifestation. So when you talk about relationships, you have to talk about personalities, because even though inanimate objects have relationships to one another, I think they're talking about relationships in terms of personality. And I think that when you have personal relationships with another personality, there are truths involved. I mean, I think relationships are based on truth. I think when you supreme relationships, ultimate relationships, godlike relationships, I think are all based on truth. I don't think there is any other kind. I don't think you'll ever have any kind of relationship with any God or offspring of God that's not based on truth.
对，他就说所有的关系呢，关乎人格，并且是关乎真理。
So they say trinities are truths of relationship and facts of coordinate deity manifestation. So all of the power of a trinity, which is a sort of a God entity of a certain level of reality. Each level of reality has its own trinity, which is like a God relationship. And a trinity represents the power and personality of a God, the impersonal and the personal. So the impersonal and the power is all about the facts, and the personality is all about the truth. And I think that's what they're talking about.
三位一体呢，就关乎全能和人格嘛，人格是关乎真理，然后全能包括事实，全能关乎事实。
See, a trinity, a God, you can have a God, and a God is has a personality, but a trinity is a coordinate deity manifestation. A trinity is coordinating you need a Trinity to coordinate the different aspects of a power personality as phenomenal as a God. It's well, in a way, we're all little trinities, because we are body, mind, and spirit, right? That's a Trinity. So in a huge, enormous context, it becomes body, mind, and spirit becomes God, the Father, the Son, and the Infinite Spirit. So there's a duality in the universe, but there's also a Trinity. A Trinity has to do with three aspects of reality coordinating together.
三位一体还体现了就是神性显现，就是协调神性的显现，协调这个全能和人格，就像人他是有身心灵三部分嘛，就是宇宙当中也有就是二元性，就是神灵和非神灵两种实相，它就我们这个身心灵也是小三位一体啊，你表达的就这种的人格、非人格还协调三个方面。
The next sentence is Trinity functions encompass deity realities, and deity realities always seek realization and manifestation in personalization. That means when you have a Trinity, which is, you could say, mind, body, and spirit, with the three basic building blocks or fundamental realities of a God or of a huge power personality. A Trinity, these three things encompass deity realities. So you have, when you have a deity, you don't just have a personality, you have these other realities too, the non-personal side. Just like I was saying, our body is not our personality, it's separate. So a God is the same. It's not all personality. There's different aspects of a power personality, of a God, of a being. Beings are not just personalities, they're more than personalities. There's other aspects as well. And Trinity functions encompass deity reality. So when you have a Trinity of all the different functions of God, you have God the Father, the Eternal Son, the Infinite Spirit. Everything about God is encompassed in the Trinity, not just God the Father.
身心灵嘛，就三个建筑方块就三位一体就全都是这样的三个，就是那神的全能人格，他也不光是有他的人格的一面，他也有非人格的一面，就是这个存有它是就是不光是人格方面。
So Trinity functions encompass deity realities, meaning everything about a deity reality, the whole reality of a God, is encompassed in a Trinity. But deity realities always seek realization and manifestation and personalization. So when you have a Trinity, which is encompassing all of deity reality, it always seeks realization and manifestation, personalization. So when you have a God, you're going to have a Trinity that's all of God, all the three aspects of God. But that whole is always going to seek to relate to other personalities. It's always going to want to be express itself as a personality.
它这地方就是说那个神性，第二句相当于就是神性总是寻求在人格化当中实现和显化。
So it says deity realities always seek realization and manifestation and personalization. So if I'm a whole, I'm more than a personality, but what good is it unless I can only relate to others as a person. All that I am can't relate to anyone else except through my personality. So every Trinity, whether it's the Paradise Trinity or these post-Havona experiential Trinities, it's always going to seek to manifest itself, to express itself as a personality.
他就说，不管是天堂三位一体啊，还是后哈瓦那三位一体，都是就是在人格化当中寻求实现和体现的。
The personality is what unites all these different aspects. We can only comprehend a God because it's a person. We can't relate to anything except other people. So if you have a body and you have all of this energy, and that doesn't mean much to me unless you can manifest it through a personality, and then I can relate to you, and then I can see these aspects of you that aren't your personality, but I can only relate to you as a personality.
对，就是这个人格呢，它相当于统合这个实相的各个方面。那么我们跟神有连结，也是通过我们的人格。
The next sentence is God, the supreme, God, the ultimate, and even God, the absolute, are therefore divine inevitabilities. They're saying when you have these trinities, these power personalities, it's inevitable that they're going to manifest as a personality, which makes, in this case, the personality is a God. So they're saying that God, the supreme, God the ultimate, and God the absolute are divine inevitabilities. That because there's the supreme Trinity, the ultimate Trinity, and the absolute Trinity. But they're saying where there's a Trinity, it's going to manifest in a personality, which is in this case a God. They're saying it because these Trinities exist, they have to manifest as a God, because we wouldn't understand them otherwise. Where there's a Trinity, there's going to be a God, a personality.
对，因为我们只能通过人格来跟神联系嘛，所以说神之至高者、神之终极者，甚至神之绝对者，都是神圣的必然，就是他们也都是人格，我们才能跟他们联系吧。
Then they're saying that these three experiential deities were potential in the existential Trinity, the Paradise Trinity. So these three experiential were potential. Okay. These Trinities have everything to do with the potential of the Paradise Trinity. So the Paradise Trinity exists, but it also has potential, all that's possible, all that can be. And this potential is also infinite. Potential is infinite. There's no end to potential. And these three Trinities evolved from that potential.
对，天堂三位一体，它的经验性是潜在的，并且也是无限的。 那么这些的衍生之神、经验之神呢，他们就相当于是这个潜在性的这个显化，天堂三位一体的潜在性的显化。
And then they're saying that, but their universe emergence as personalities of power is dependent on two things. In part, on their own experiential functioning in the universes of power and personality, and in part on the experiential achievement of the post-Havona creators and trinities. That's a little confusing because they're saying that the post-Havona trinity is functioning in part because of the post-Havona trinity. So that's
I think, you know, they are almost the same thing, but from different angle.
but their universe emergence as personalities of power is in part on their own experiential functioning in the universes of power and personality, and in part on the experiential achievements of the post-Havana creators and trinities. I just don't know if there's any other post-Havana trinities except for these three trinities we're talking about. I don't think there's any other post-Havana trinities. I think there's just these three. These three experiential trinities were potential in Paradise Trinity, but their universe emergence as personality and power is dependent in part on their own experiential functioning in the universe of power and personality, and in part on the experiential achievements of the, well, maybe they're saying that their personalities are dependent on their own experiential functioning, what they experience themselves, but also on the experience of all the other trinities. Maybe that's what they're saying. And the post-Havana creators and trinities. So there's a lot of creators, you know, all the creator sons in the grand universe. So in other words, and the other trinities. So all that's happening, that's being experienced, is contributing to the experience of each trinity.
经验性神灵他们怎么能作为全能人格出现在宇宙当中？他这个最后这一句，他说部分取决于他们自己在全能和人格宇宙中的经验运作，部分取决于后哈瓦那造物者和三位一体的经验成就。后哈瓦那造物者，那么就比如说那些的造物之子，创造各个宇宙的造物之子，就是他们的经验成就，也贡献给了这个经验性神灵他们的经验性成长。
We're going to read much more about this in the next section when we read about the Supreme, how everything we're doing, all of the achievements of everyone, everything that's happening in the universe, in our universe, is affecting the Supreme. So we're going to read more about that. But they're saying here that for all three of these post-Havana trinities, that they're evolving partly because of their own experience and partly because of the experiential achievements of all the other creators and all the other post-creator, post-Havana creators and trinities. So the achievement of all of the creators in the grand universe are contributing to the evolution of each of these post-Havana trinities, as well as their own achievements and experience.
他还在最后那一句，就是不光是他们自己的全能和人格的经验运作，还就是取决于后哈瓦那造物者和三位一体的经验成就。
Now they're talking, the next paragraph talks about the ultimate and the absolute trinities. And they're saying that they are now fully manifest. They're not forming, they have formed. They're fully manifest. They're not like in the process of becoming. They have become, they exist. But they are in process of universe realization. So they exist, they're formed, they're realities. They're not fetuses, they're actual beings, but they are experiencing their potential. They are evolving right now. They're still evolving.
对，说到两个后哈瓦那三位一体，就是终极经验性三位一体和绝对经验性三位一体，目前尚未完全显现，就是他们出现了，但是他们呢在实现的过程当中。
So I'm going to read
No, I think it's 10 at their time, 2 hours already. Do you want to finish this or you want to have this part? Because there are also acknowledgement parts that you might want to, if you don't have money to see, we can, just finish it this time. Otherwise, if you have a lot to express, we can postpone.
No, I think I'd like to keep going if you guys can.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to read up until the acknowledgement, and then you can read it in Chinese. Number
Okay.
1, the ultimate trinity now evolving will eventually consist of the supreme being, the supreme creator personalities, and the absonite architects of the master universe, those unique universe planners who are neither creators nor creatures. God the ultimate will eventually and inevitably powerize and personalize as the deity consequence of the unification of this experiential ultimate trinity in the expanding arena of the well-nigh limitless master universe. That's the ultimate trinity. Number 2, the absolute trinity. The second experiential trinity, now in process of actualization, will consist of God the Supreme, God the Ultimate, and God and the unrevealed consummator of universe destiny. This trinity functions on both personal and superpersonal levels, even to the borders of the non-personal, and its unification and universality would experientialize absolute deity. The ultimate trinity is experientially unifying in completion, but we truly doubt the possibility of such full unification of the absolute trinity. Our concept, however, of the eternal paradise trinity is an ever-present reminder that deity trinitization may accomplish what is otherwise unattainable, non-attainable. Hence, do we postulate the sometime appearance of the supreme ultimate and the possible trinitization, factualization of God the absolute. The philosophers of the universes postulate a trinity of trinities, an existential experiential Trinity infinite, but they are not able to envisage its personalization. Possibly it would equivalent to the person of the universal Father on the concept level of the I am. But irrespective of all this, the original Paradise Trinity is potentially infinite, since the universal Father actually is infinite. Okay.
石丽，你还在吗？你要是还在，你就读；不在，我就读。哦，不在了。哦，Wendy，你可以读吗？好的。
可以，我读
目前正在演化的。
好，目前正在演化的终极三位一体，最终将由至高存在者、至高造物者人格和主宇宙觉现建筑师组成。这些独特的宇宙规划者既不是造物者，也不是受造物。神之终极者最终将不可避免地作为这种经验性终极三位一体统一的神灵结果，在几近无限的主宇宙扩展领域中获得权力和人格。绝对三位一体，第二个经验性三位一体，目前正在现实化的过程中，将由神之至高者、神之终极者和未揭示的宇宙天命终结者组成。这个三位一体在人格和超人格层次上运作，甚至达到非人格的边界。它在全宇宙中的统一将使绝对神灵获得体验。终极三位一体的完成在于经验性的统一，但我们确实怀疑绝对三位一体是否可能实现这种完全的统一。然而，我们对永恒天堂三位一体的概念不断提醒我们，神灵的三位一体化可以实现原本无法实现的目标。因此，我们推测至高终极者会在未来某一天出现，以及神之绝对者可能会三位一体事实化。宇宙哲学家假设了一个诸三位一体之三位一体，即一个存在体验的无限三位一体，但他们无法想象它的人格化。它可能相当于我是概念层面上万有之父的人格，但无论如何，由于万有之父实际上是无限的，所以原初的天堂三位一体也可能是无限的。
好的，谢谢Wendy。还有一个伙伴醒着，不错不错。Okay, Heidi.
Okay. So I think I may have been thinking that there were three post-Savona Trinities, the supreme, the ultimate, and the absolute, but I think I was wrong. I think they're saying here that there's because this section is describing the ultimate Trinity and the absolute Trinity. There's no supreme Trinity. There's a supreme being, and there's God the supreme, but there doesn't seem to be a supreme Trinity. So I think there's only three Trinities right now. There's the Paradise Trinity, the ultimate Trinity, and the absolute Trinity.
他说这三个目前知道的这个三位一体，一个是原初的天堂三位一体，另外一个就是这一段讲的终极三位一体，然后第三个三位一体是绝对三位一体。
Because they say right here, the two post-Havona Trinities, the ultimate and the absolute experiential Trinities. So I think the ultimate is kind of combines the supreme and the ultimate into one.
对，上段说到两个后哈瓦那三位一体，就是终极经验性三位一体和绝对经验性三位一体。所以没有一个至高者三位一体，然后至高者的就相当于统合到那个终极经验性三位一体里边。
Yes, that's true, because it says right here, number one, the ultimate Trinity, now evolving, will eventually consist of the supreme being, the supreme creator personalities, and the absolute architects of the master universe, those unique universe planners who are neither creators nor creatures. So the ultimate Trinity is the supreme being, the supreme creator personalities, and these architects of the master universe. That's the three elements of the ultimate Trinity are when they say the supreme creator personalities, I think they mean all the creator sons in the grand universe, and there's and their creative mother spirits, and there may be other creator personalities, but they definitely mean the creator sons and the creator mother spirits. But there may be I think there's other creator spirits in the grand universe as well.
对，你看这个12.6这里边嘛，就是终极三位一体嘛，它就有至高存在者和至高造物者人格，主宇宙觉现建筑师组成嘛。至高造物者人格，他就说就包括那个众造物之子、造物母灵，可能还包括其他的造物之灵。
The ultimate Trinity consists of the supreme being, the supreme creator personalities I just spoke of, and the absolute architects of the master universe, those unique universe planners who are neither creators nor creatures. Now that's kind of interesting. I forgot about those guys. So there are these architects, and they're called architects of the master universe. So they're probably right now creating the outer universes, because the grand universe, I think, has mostly been architected or designed. It's evolving, but I think it's already been designed. But the outer universes are now being created or designed, and they say that these absolute architects of the master universe are unique planners who are neither creators nor creatures. So that's interesting. They're not creators and they're not creatures. I'm not sure what they are, but they're very unique beings.
他这儿提到这个主宇宙觉现建筑师，有可能他们是负责就是外层空间的设计。那么他这里边又提到这些的宇宙规划者，既不是造物者，也不是受造物。
So the ultimate Trinity is not a Trinity like personality and not impersonal and personal necessarily. It's more a Trinity of three groups of personalities: the supreme being, the supreme creators, and the absolute architects.
这三位一体就相当于代表三个组的人格。
And it says, God the ultimate will eventually and inevitably powerize and personalize as the deity consequence of the unification of this experiential ultimate Trinity in the expanding arena of the well-nigh limitless master universe. So God the ultimate will eventually and inevitably power personalize. So eventually there'll be God the ultimate is still evolving. The ultimate Trinity exists already, but God the ultimate is still evolving and will be a manifestation of all these three powerful personalities: God the Supreme, all the creator personalities, and the master architects. They're all going to represent themselves together as one God the ultimate. They'll still exist as separate personalities, but God the ultimate will be like a result of all of their all of them working together, will manifest as this one God the ultimate.
对，这三组人格就是统一显现为一个终极三位一体。在那个主宇宙扩展领域获得权力和人格。
The absolute Trinity. Number 2, the second experiential Trinity, now in process of actualization, will consist of God the Supreme. Oh, okay. Another one. The other one, the ultimate consists of the Supreme Being, and this is God the Supreme, God the ultimate, and the unrevealed consummator of universe destiny. The unrevealed consummator of universe, whoever that is. This Trinity functions on both personal and superpersonal levels, even to the borders of the non-personal, and its unification and universality would experientialize absolute deity. So they're saying the absolute Trinity, the second experiential Trinity, is now in process of actualization. You can translate.
然后第二个经验性三位一体呢，就是绝对三位一体嘛，说它正在现实化的过程当中。
So the ultimate
由神之至高
Okay,
者、
sorry.
神之终极者和未揭示的宇宙天命终结者组成。
So the ultimate Trinity consisted of the Supreme Being. Apparently, the Supreme Being is not God the Supreme. Two different things. The Supreme Being is one thing. God the Supreme is someone else, something else. So the absolute Trinity consists of God the Supreme, God the ultimate. So these are the personalities of the Supreme and the ultimate, and the unrevealed consummator of universe destiny. So there's they're saying, when they say unrevealed, they mean they're not allowed to tell us too much about it. They can't really tell us about it. They can tell us it exists, but they can't. For some reason, we're not really supposed to know any more than that.
他这
They're
儿
not
就
supposed to
像
reveal it
那
to us.
个上面说这个终极三位一体，它不是由至高存在者至高存在者是其中之一嘛，三位一体之一。那么这个地方呢，绝对三位一体呢，它是由神之至高者、神之终极者这块的神之至高者跟上面的那个至高存在者还不是一回事神之至高者就是相当于他的神之至高存在者他的人格的那一部分。
So the absolute Trinity, so this Trinity functions on both personal and superpersonal levels, even to the borders of the non-personal. And its unification and universality would experientialize absolute deity. So it the absolute functions on we talk about, when we talk about personality, we talk about personal, pre-personal, and superpersonal. So pre-personal are like thought adjusters, beings like that. And then personal is like beings like we are. And then super personal. No, I'm not really sure. Have we talked about super personal? I don't think so. I don't think we've talked about that too much. I'm not really sure what that is. Do you know what that is? Super personal?
Super personal.
I don't think we've talked about that very much.
Right.
I think we know it exists, but I don't think we've read about it.
就是人格，它有前人格、人格和超人格。那么前人格呢，就是思想调整者，相对于我们来说，它就属于前人格，我们就属于人格。然后超人格好像没有怎么提到。
So when it's going to the absolute Trinity is going to exist on personal and super personal levels, and then eventually will experientialize, will become absolute deity. It's a Trinity, but eventually it's going to become a deity.
所以三位一体到最后会显现经验化为一个叫绝对神灵。
And then they say the ultimate Trinity is experientially unifying in completion, but we truly doubt the possibility of such full unification of the absolute Trinity. Our concept, however, of the eternal paradise Trinity is an ever-present reminder that deity trinitization may accomplish what is otherwise unattainable. Hence do we postulate the sometimes appearance of the supreme, ultimate, and the possible trinitization, factualization of God the Absolute. So they're saying the ultimate Trinity is experientially unifying, is evolving right now, and will be complete. Even, when you're evolving, you're not really complete. You're in the process of becoming complete. So they're saying that the ultimate Trinity, which was God the Supreme and the creative personalities and the architects, they're saying that they do see that as becoming complete, but they can't imagine the absolute Trinity becoming complete. That's what they're saying.
对，这个12.8这一句就是，终极三位一体的完成在于经验性的统一。但是呢，这个神圣自伤者这作者们就说怀疑绝对三位一体是否可能实现这种完全的统一。
But then they're saying that our concept, however, of the eternal paradise Trinity is an ever-present reminder that deity trinitization may accomplish what is otherwise non-attainable. Hence, do we postulate the sometime appearance of the supreme ultimate and the possible trinitization, factualization of God the Absolute. So they're saying, even though we can't imagine it, we can't imagine the completion of the absolute Trinity, we know by the paradise Trinity that what we can't imagine can become possible. That even something that we can't, that doesn't seem like it could exist, can exist. We know that by looking at the paradise Trinity. Therefore, it probably will exist. There probably sometime at some point there probably will. We can't imagine it, and we can't even conceive of it. But because the inconceivable is conceivable in the paradise Trinity, we have to assume that it is conceivable, and that there will sometime become God the Absolute will sometime exist. That they're saying that.
反正就虽然他们怀疑这种实现能不能，这种统一能不能实现，但是就是根据永恒天堂三位一体的概念啊，然后应该是还是这个三位一体是实化，还是可能实现的。
The last paragraph is saying the philosophers of the universe postulate a trinity of trinities, an existential, experiential trinity infinite, but they're not able to envisage its personalization. Possibly it would equivalent. So they're saying that the philosophers of the universe, the high thinkers, are saying that someday there'll be a trinity of trinities. So it will and that would be the paradise trinity, the ultimate trinity, and the absolute trinity. They're saying that they think that sometime these three trinities there will be a trinity that consists of these three trinities. That's what they're saying.
刚才那一段就是神之绝对者的三位一体事实化，也可能是将来会实现。然后呢，最后一段呢又提到一个诸三位一体之三位一体。那么前面呢就是天堂三位一体，然后绝对三位一体和终极三位一体嘛。然后这里边又提出把这三个再弄到一起的一个三位一体，就是一个存在体验结合在一起的无限三位一体。
And they're saying this would be an experiential, existential Trinity infinite. It would be so powerful because it would include the infinite Trinity, which is the existential paradise Trinity, and also the experiential Trinity. So it would be so powerful. It would be probably infinite itself.
对，这个它原来的英文是三位一体无限性，就是相当于这个三位一体呢就是无限的，因为它是实际上它包含那个最原初的那个天堂三位一体嘛，所以它本身虽然是一个存在体验的，三位一体的结合，但是它本身应该也是无限的。
And they're saying that they can't imagine how it would personalize, because remember they told us that it's inevitable that every Trinity wants to personalize as a God. So they're saying they can't imagine, but maybe it would be a lot like the universal Father, which is the original I am.
就是万有之父是无限的，所以原初的天堂三位一体也是无限的，那一个就带动所有的都是无限的，就像那个三位一体这三位一体是原初三位一体无限，那么这存在体验三位一体也是无限的，这样一个哲学家嘛，哲学概念。
And the last sentence is, but regardless of all this, putting all this aside, the original paradise Trinity is potentially infinite since the universal Father is actually infinite. And that's odd because I remember reading earlier today, a little while ago, that the existential Trinity is infinite. And here they're saying it's potentially infinite, but that the universal Father is infinite. And the universal Father is part of that Trinity. So here they're saying it's potentially infinite. And before they said it is infinite, that it is the infinite Trinity. But here they're saying it's potentially infinite. But they're saying the universal Father is infinite.
这个我已经表达了这个意思。对，里边只要存在一个无限性的元素，那么这个整体概念就是无限性。Okay.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Yeah, see, they say right before here, in the beginning, they say there about the paradise trinity. Therefore, does this trinity constitute the only deity reality embracing infinity? Okay, they're saying I said it was infinite, but they were saying that it constitutes the only deity reality embracing infinity, and that's God the Father. So they're not saying that they didn't say the existential trinity was infinite, but that it constitutes the only deity reality embracing infinity. So God the Father is infinite, and it's part of the paradise trinity. So it's consistent. They didn't contradict themselves. They're saying it is potentially infinite, and it embraces God the Father, which is infinite. Okay. I didn't contradict it. So I'm sorry. Okay. So we finished that part, and Ricky, you have to go, right?
Yeah.
So we can read the acknowledgement next time.
Yeah, and also you mentioned about this part a long time ago, in the kind of very, very beginning, or from time to time, mentioned about this part.
I mentioned the acknowledgement.
Yeah, and
What did I say? What did I say about it?
How this book was written, they kind of borrow whatever the ideas already existed in Urantia. And if they couldn't find the expression from existing literature or thoughts, they are going to invent some new idea, introducing some new concepts.
Okay.
But you can talk about that again. I think most people have no.
Yeah, I did mention it. I did mention it, how they wrote the book, how the book was written, because some people say that it's stealing you but it's stealing human writings and putting it together and saying they wrote it, but that's not true. It explains right here how they were supposed to use human writings as much as possible. Yeah. It's not plagiarizing anything. But it is using human writings wherever they can. Yeah, we'll read that next time. It's very interesting.
Okay, good. Great. At least to finish.
Yeah, good for us.
Next part forward. Very, very challenging task. Thank you.
The Trinities is very, very challenging. No doubt about it.
No doubt about that. We need a paradigm to express the whole idea.
I'm sorry, Ricky, you're not as loud as you usually are.
Okay, yeah, let's call it a day.
Okay.
Yeah, my cat is crying for
Oh,
going
poor
out.
Sunny.
Yeah, he's crying for getting out. Try to play with other cats. Black cat.
Oh, that's nice. He has a friend. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Wendy, for this late staying with us this late. 谢谢你啊，Wendy，跟我们一起待这么晚。
谢谢 ，Thank you Heidi，谢谢琪琪。
好的。
Okay, you
Goodbye.
can turn off the record.